Dear students, in this module, we are going to cover various kind of surveys that have been carried out in India about adolescents' health. One of the important sample survey about this topic is National Behavioral Surveillance Survey, which is also called as BSS Youth Survey. Let us discuss on what background this survey has been conducted. A clear understanding of the situation of young people and their needs is required to design and successfully implement interventions to stem the tide of infections among youth people. Without this information, the scale of the response required and the focus and relative urgency of the interventions remain unknown. Since most new infections are in young people, modest changes in behavior and in this age group may have a significant impact on their epidemic. A positive feature of arming youth people with knowledge and skills makes them more likely to adopt safe sexual behavior compared to the older people with already entrenched habits. In order to design evidence-based interventions among the youth people, it is essential to understand the levels of knowledge about HIV/AIDS, attitude and sexual behavior of young people. Behavioral Surveillance Survey (BSS) are internationally standardized tools used for understanding the knowledge, attitude and behavior of populations. Undertaking BSS among youth is an important effort by NACO, which is National AIDS Control Organization, and UNICEF to monitor changes in behavioral aspects of young people who are vulnerable to HIV infection. The aim of the study is to provide a baseline for the interventions among the youth people supported by NACO and UNICEF. The study will be repeated periodically for trend analysis, which will indicate the impact of the interventions as well generate invaluable information about behavior and lifestyle of young people in the country. Let us discuss about the methodology and sampling design adopted for this survey. To effectively monitor the trends in cognitive information on HIV/AIDS and to assess changes in sexual behavior and risk practices, NACO conducted BSS among general population aged 15 to 49 years in 2001, that is, towards the beginning of the NACP second. UNICEF and NACO undertook a detailed disaggregated analysis of national BSS 2001 data for the 15 to 24 population segments of the general population. However, the sample of 15 to 24 population pulled out from BSS 2001 data was not adequate to provide representative estimates for male and female population of 15 to 24 years in rural and urban areas of different states. In view of this, UNICEF was planning to undertake a more comprehensive national BSS survey by covering representative sample of young people. Keeping in the view the coverage of the national BSS among the young population and the time and resources required for the same, UNICEF and NACO decided to carry out the youth survey along with BSS 2006, which was to be conducted by NACO in the year 2006. The BSS among young people was carried out following the same methodology adopted for survey among general population in BSS 2006. As per the sampling design adopted for BSS 2006, a total sample of 97,240 respondents, male and female, in the age group of 15 to 49 years has been covered for the GP survey, which is a general population survey. This sample has been covered from 2,434 rural and urban PSUs scattered over 25 states and groups of states. In each selected PSU, a sample of 40 respondents, 20 males and 20 females each, was covered for the GP survey, which also included respondents in the age group of 15 to 24 years. Besides the above sample, the additional sample of 20 respondents, 10 male and 10 female each, aged 15 to 24 years, was covered in each PSU for the BSS among young people. The total sample covered for the BSS among executive summary young people was 78,916, of which 30,791 were from the general population survey and 48,125 was the additional sample covered for the youth survey. While planning for youth BSS, it was felt important that all the key stakeholders agree on the goals of data collection as well as the practicalities. Keeping this basic premise in mind, UNICEF and NACO initiated a systematic consultation process among all the key partners right from the beginning of the planning stage of this survey. For BSS 2006, a technical resource group, which is called as TRG, was constituted by NACO that included members from different national and international organizations like UNAIDS, UNICEF, WHO, NIMS, Clinton Foundation, RCSHA, and Population Council. The technical resource group meetings were held on a weekly basis at every stage of the study to review progress and plan for the effective use of the emerging data for BSS 2006 as well as the youth BSS. The target and technical resource group members contributed substantially in terms of providing ideas and shared their experiences throughout the study period. All the states and union territories in the country were categorized in 25 sampling units for the purpose of BSS survey. The smaller states were combined with the adjacent large states. Goa and Daman and Diu were clubbed into one group, as were Gujarat and Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Kerala and Lakshadweep, Punjab and Chandigarh, Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, West Bengal and Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and 5 northeastern states of Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura. All the other states in country were taken as independent sampling units. The required information for the youth survey was collected through similar questionnaires used for BSS 2006. A detailed manual was prepared for the field team for their ready references. The manual highlighted the survey objectives, methodology, techniques for interviewing, and recording the answers and detailed descriptions of each question. The fieldwork for the GP survey as well as youth survey was carried out simultaneously in all over the India. It was initiated in May 2006 and was completed in June 2006. After field and office editing, the data was entered through a tailor-made software module in Integrated System and Survey Analysis, 7th version of ISSA. One-day workshop was organized at NIMS, NIMS to finalize the analysis and tabulation plan for the youth BSS. The workshop was attended by the technical resource group members and experts in health sector, particularly in HIV/AIDS, and the core team members of the survey team. Before merging the two sets of data, which is extracted sample from NACO BSS and additional sample through youth BSS, appropriate weighting was done as disappropriate allocation of sample took place at state and other levels. After due cleaning of data, the analysis was carried out using SPSS 10th package. Adequate checks were built in at data entry and data analysis stage to ensure data quality. Students, let us discuss about the sampling design for National Behavioral Surveillance Survey 2006 among general population. We'll have a look at the sample size calculation. The sampling design used in BSS 2001 was adopted from BSS 2006 as well. The sampling design was discussed and finalized with the technical resource group. While calculating the required sample sizes, the following points were considered to be important. Number 1. The procedures presented at intended for surveys where the primary objective is to measure changes in selected behavioral indicators over time. Sample size requirements are addressed here with respect to indicators measured as proportions. The minimum sample size required per survey round for the measurement of change of a given indicator is a function of 5 factors. First, the initial or starting level of the key variable. Second, the magnitude of change that needs to be detected. Third, the level of significance. Fourth, the power of testing. And fifth, the proportion of population of interest that is eligible to be considered for the key variable. An expression of the required sample size for a given subpopulation for each survey round is as follows. The formula reads n is equal to d of z1 minus alpha root 2 p 1 minus p plus z1 minus beta root p1 1 minus p p1 plus p2 1 minus p2 2 of p2 minus p1 the whole square, where n is equal to the required sample size, d is the design effect, p1 is the estimated proportion at the time of BSS 2001, p2 is the target population in BSS 2006, so that p2 minus p1 is the magnitude of change to be detected. P is equal to p1 plus p2 divided by 2. Z1 minus alpha is the Z score corresponding to the desired level of significance. Z1 minus beta is the Z score corresponding to the desired level of power. Using this formula, the sample size per state for urban and rural areas was calculated. The key indicator used to calculate the sample was consistent condom uses with non-regular partners in the last 12 months. Among youth, while calculating the sample, the following assumptions have been made. D is equal to 2 of Z1 minus alpha is equal to 1.645, corresponding to 95% confidence level in one-tailed test. Z1 minus beta is equal to 0.84, corresponding to 80% power of the testing. The indicators considered for calculating the sample size for each stage or group of states were consistent condom uses with non-regular partners in the last 12 months and % of the target group who had sex with non-regular partners in last 12 months. Using this formula, the first minimum required sample separately in urban and rural areas was calculated by considering indicators consistent condom use with non-regular partner in the last 12 months. To cover this minimum number from the general population, the required sample was divided with proportion who reported having sex with non-regular partners. The total urban and rural sample was equally divided among male and female respondents. It was decided to cover only one respondent from a selected household. So total number of households selected in each urban and rural PSU was equal to the required sample. These respective proportions were taken from BSS 2001 report. In some states, where the percentage reported having sex in the last 12 months was less than 5% as per BSS 2001, minimum reporting of 5% in both urban and rural areas was considered. The sample was calculated with the assumption that there would be 20% point increase in the indicator value over BSS 2001. The following 3-stage stratified cluster sampling approach was adopted for selecting target respondents in the rural areas of a stage or group of states. Stage 1, selection of districts. Stage 2, selection of villages. Stage 3, selection of target respondents. The power of the test, rejecting the null hypothesis, namely there has been no change in the level of the indicator over time when it was not true. Let us have a look at stage 1. which is selection of districts. About 4 to 6 districts in each state or group of states were selected randomly. Prior to sampling, all the districts of each state or group of states were grouped into broad geographical regions. The number of districts to be selected from each region out of the total required number of districts to be selected from each state or group of states was proportional to the total rural population of the zone. The required number of districts from each region was selected using PPS method. The list of selected districts from BSS 2006 is given in annexure. In some states, group of states, the total sample covered varies in BSS 2001 and BSS 2006. In BSS 2001, due to the absence of any state's estimates for 2 indicators considered to calculate sample, consistent condom uses with non-regular partners 50% and percent target group who had sex with non-regular partners 5% were considered. In BSS 2006, the state group or group of states sample was calculated by taking estimates of these indicators from national BSS 2001 among general population. Now we will discuss about the stage 2. Stage 2 consists of selection of villages in each selected state, the number of villages to be sampled dependent upon the rural sample of the state. Like BSS 2001, the number of respondents to be covered from each village was fixed at 40. Considering this, the number of villages to be covered was calculated. These villages were equally allocated to the number of districts selected in a state or group of states. Using the 2001 census data, the villages in a district were arranged in the descending order of population size and the required number of villages was selected using PPS systematic random sampling method. We will see stage 3, which is selection of target respondents in each selected village. The total number of respondents, male and female, aged 15 to 49 years, to be covered, taking only one respondent per household, was fixed at 40 per village. The total number of households in a village was estimated at the time of survey. As the not available and refusal cases were not to be replaced, an extra sample of 6 households was selected. An interval was calculated by dividing the total number of households in a village with 46. After closing a random starting point, every nth household was selected and from each household, one eligible respondent was randomly selected using a KISH grid. Now students, we will have look at the second important survey on adolescents, which is the Global Tobacco Surveillance System, which is called as GTSS and also called as India Global Youth Tobacco Survey and Global School Personnel Survey, GPS. The Global Tobacco Surveillance System, GTSS, is a set of globally standardized survey to monitor tobacco use and key tobacco control policies. It comprises both youth and adult surveys. Launched in 1999, the Global Youth Tobacco Survey (GYTS) is a global standard for systematically monitoring youth tobacco use and tracking key tobacco control indicators. GYTS assists countries to enhance their capacity to design, implement and evaluate tobacco control interventions. It is an important tool to assist countries in supporting WHO Empower, a package of 6 evidence-based demand reduction measures contained in the WHO's Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, which is also called as FCTC. The purpose of this policy paper is to define the partners' roles formally, affirm the policies and procedures for data collection and processing, and the state's conditions regarding release of the GYTS data. Statement of these policies will also ensure standardization of procedures and serve as a reference guide for the implementation and dissemination of surveys. Now we'll see partners and partners' roles. The GYTS functions as a multi-partner project representing global, regional and national associates. Its purpose is to assist countries in assessing and responding to their particular situation and needs. Countries should use GYTS as a mechanism to guide the development, implementation, and evaluation of their tobacco control programs as part of their national capacity building process. By adopting the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, FCTC, GYTS can also serve as a primary data source in monitoring many of the FCTC articles. At the global and regional levels, WHO headquarters and the 6 regional offices and CDC are the lead agencies managing the GYTS. At the national level, the GYTS is managed through the government as defined by the country's policies and procedures and their contracts with global partners. WHO is primarily responsible for GYTS management and implementation, while CDC plays a predominantly technical role. Now we'll discuss about the data collection and processing of this survey. India Global Youth Tobacco Survey GYTS 2006 and Global School Personnel Survey GSPS 2006 were undertaken region-wise, namely North, South, East, West, Central and Northeast, covering 99.7% of the total population of India. It has been a comprehensive survey. Altogether, 12,086 students and 2,926 school personnel from 180 schools participated in the 6 regional surveys, with fieldwork completed during the first half of 2006. Data from India GYTS 2003 and GYTS 2006 was analyzed to examine the change in different variables of tobacco control measures for monitoring and evaluation of process measures achieved on different provisions of Tobacco Control Act of 2003 and relevant articles in the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control WHO FCTC. Following are the salient features of GYTS. Encouraging exposure to second-hand smoke in public places has significantly decreased from 49% to 40% at the national level. Initiation of smoking before age 10 has significantly decreased from 49% to 37% at the national level. Discouraging tobacco use among boys and girls is statistically the same in 5 out of 6 regions of India. Overall consumption of tobacco has not decreased over 3 years. School teaching on dangers of smoking, etc. has not improved. Exposure to cigarette advertisement on billboards has not come down. Sale of tobacco and tobacco products to minors does not show any decline over 3 years. Distribution of free sampling of cigarettes has not changed at national level over 3 years. In the central region, the prevalence of current tobacco use has increased. In the northeast and eastern regions, tobacco consumption remained high. Salient findings of India Global School Personnel Survey are as follows. These are the encouraging points, which are: nearly all school personnel strongly agreed that schools should have a rule specifically prohibiting the use of tobacco among students. And school personnel. The majority of school personnel strongly agreed that they should receive specific training to help students avoid to stop using tobacco. The discouraging findings are: an alarming proportion, like over 1/3 of school personnel used tobacco. Tobacco-free school policy over 2/3, technical materials over 2/3 and training among school personnel over 3/5 underscore school tobacco control education in India. School personnel serve as role models for students, conveyors of tobacco prevention, curricula, and opinion leaders for school tobacco control policies are important. These individuals have daily interaction with students and thus represent an influential group for tobacco control. They need to have access to prevention and learning materials and formal training to prevent tobacco use amongst youth. introduction to comprehensive school policies and its effective enforcement through involvement of multi-sectoral like health, education, public, private sector, communities, students and school personnel partners may help reduce the consumption of tobacco among adolescents and school personnel. The government, by way of enforcing ban on smoking in public places and raising awareness among people, has created a positive impact, but still a lot more needs to be done, especially in the field of controlling tobacco advertisements, marketing and providing access to appropriate teaching material and training of teachers. The GYTS and GSPS data provide sufficient documentary proof on the positive result that can be achieved by adoption of a comprehensive tobacco control policy. Therefore, the need of the hour for India is the proper implementation of Tobacco Control Act of 2003 so that future gains are possible and progress made in achieving the goals of the WHO FCTC to combat the globally rampant tobacco epidemic. So students, in this module, we discussed about two major surveys on adolescents and how the lifestyle and behavior and habits are directly related to the epidemics of youth and adolescents' health. Thank you.